City, the man who created a fashion line that represents a great acronym. Brilliant, open minds become conscious individuals to you. So today I want to welcome everybody, Mr. Jay Lee. So Mr. Jay Lee, Bomb City. Everyone that follows you know that your line is nice, is unique. You started from the bottom, took it to the top. But do everybody really know who Mr. Jay Lee is before he became Mr. Bomb City?
No, that's like, it's interesting. I feel like, I have a compelling story. I don't want to say it's unique to me because I experienced it, you know what I mean? But a lot of people have similar stories. Man, just growing up, man, in Baltimore, so much dysfunction. I come from a lot of dysfunction. Like I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles, man. We talking sexual abuse, having to get through that mentally as a child. Just talking about physical, verbal abuse in the household at times. Just not having nothing to really gauge what quote unquote society calls as being normal, but we all know that normality is based on an individual basis. My normal wasn't everyone's normal, but I feel like my normal was just dysfunctional, and I just had to overcome a lot. I realized, like, as I was growing up, I stayed in a lot of trouble. I got in a lot of trouble, and my mom, she did the best she could with what she had, like, no fault of her own. She was raising two men, and I was one of them type of kids, man, whereas though, like, if I seen you go over there and touch that fire, you supposed to touch it from the side way, and you came down on top, so that's why I burned you. So experience became my best teacher, and I just thank God that he protected me when I was a fool. But man, I've just been through so much in my life, and I wear a smile. I use comedy and things of that nature, man, just to kind of counteract and to cope with a lot of things that be going on for me internally, the internal pain that I have suffered. But I mean, I thank God for therapy, and in our community, sometimes it's looked upon, it's like a taboo almost, like mental health and therapy. I mean, I'm glad that people are beginning to have a voice about mental health and things like that. But I mean, like, it's just so much more to the person Jay Lee, to the persona or the Mr. Bomb City persona that people see, and a lot of times I put a lot of things out because sometimes you're afraid to let people know who you really are. And I heard a quote one time, we build these reputations because we want people to think that's who we are. A lot of times we don't refer to our character and live up to our character, and that's the things that have been instilled in us, and that's your moral compass, and we'll use excuses and things of that nature, and I'm just glad that I've evolved to a place where I don't have to use any of these things as an excuse anymore. I think a lot of the time I spent in prison, God has saved me from myself because the way that I was moving, I think I in Baltimore City, I'm sure I would have been dead had I not been to prison.
So let's talk about your state, your prison. What was you in prison for?
Well, I started going to prison as a juvenile. My first juvenile charge was an attempt murder charge, and I was just, like I say, I suffered some sexual abuse when I was young, and it made me an animal, man. Like, I really felt like I would never let anybody hurt me again. If you attempted to do something to me, I was going to do something to you, and it was going to be bad, man. I was very, very violent, So, like, I started going, I had been a ward of the state since I was 14 years old. I had been awarded a state to some capacity since I was 14 years old. And it was just an ongoing cycle into, I came out of prison in 2002 and I haven't been back, thank God. You know, I haven't been back. But yeah, man, it was just a continuous cycle, man. I just was caught up, man.
So being in prison, do you feel like when you were in there, you was being helped? Do you feel like you was in survival mode? You know, I mean, what was your mental like while in there?
That's a good question. You know, and it's funny I'm going to say this, but my prison time was my most formative years into my growth and development. I embraced intelligence, you know what I mean? So, you know, I became a member of the Nation of Islam. I learned a lot of things, you know what I mean? I thank God for the Nation of Islam. I thank God for that awakening, you know. So I really feel like I say, I've experienced drug addiction. So, you know, and I had a few bits, you know what I mean? I'm not proud of it, but I've been to prison several times. And a few times I think I was rescued, you know what I mean? Because I was caught up in the grips of addiction and I didn't even realize I had a problem. Because the things that I was doing coming up, you know, in my era, you know what I mean, it's frowned upon now, but it was socially acceptable in my town and in my era to do the things we were doing, like sniffing heroin in Baltimore City in the 80s and all the way up to like the early 90s was, I mean, it was socially acceptable, you know what I'm saying? And it wasn't frowned upon.
Right.
As these kids do now with the marijuana and the pills and the syrup and things of that nature. It's the same drug.
So now you're getting released. What now? What's next for Jay Lee? You're getting out of prison. Your mindset, you know, it's hard to get a job. People don't want to accept you once you've been incarcerated. What was your mindset like?
I got like an interesting background when it comes to that because my mother's brothers always had like stores and businesses that had, from a young age, I always had like an entrepreneur spirit. So never really was looking for a job anyway because I call it job just over broke. That's the acronym for just over broke. So in my life, I never really was looking for a job, but I wanted to become able to take advantage of the opportunities that were set forth, and the way I was moving, I couldn't. So once I got released, my mindset was that anything that I persevered at, I felt like that I was gonna have some success at. So I mean, like, man, when I came home in 2002, I had a lucrative business. I had a cleaning service, and then you know, I did everything that I needed to do. I went out. I went down to the Bureau of Purchase. I met this lady down the Bureau of Purchase, Miss Paula Collins. She helped me out and told me some information, and I was able to build a business that was grossing well in the high $100,000 a year. I was like making, and this was in the 90s. I want to say this was in the 90s. I had a business making like well over $100,000 a year. I developed a program at Walbrook High School with Dr. Andre Bunley, where I began to help students that were on the borderline, and I was just trying to create opportunities for them and show them that a guy with my background could do this. So I was motivated, man, to do some things, but my demons wasn't gone yet. You know what I'm saying? Like, I still had one foot in and one foot out, you know what I mean? So I went back to prison. Okay. You know what I mean? After gaining all this and God blessed me with all this, I went back to prison. And this time when I went back to prison, I think that was when I had the awakening, you know what I'm saying? It was like, because I had been went to prison so much, it was the norm for me. Like, you know, I was the guy telling people it's gonna be all right. You know, because I wasn't worried, you know what I mean? Like, I knew what was going to happen, you know. I've been doing this since 14. I'm telling guys in the book, man, it's going to be all right. But that last time I went to prison, and I had got a break, because I had got locked up with a bunch of cocaine. You know what I mean? I got locked with a couple bricks of cocaine, man. I was like, I never had been arrested with that much stuff before. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I ain't never coming home. It's going to be a long time. But God blessed me once again. But it was like I knew that my grace and mercy was running out, man. Like I was like, man, listen, I can't do this no more. And then jail had begun to change. You know what I mean? It had begun to change, and it just wasn't. And it doesn't supposed to be, but it just wasn't comfortable no more. If that makes any sense.
Right, right.
You know, like I mean, like it just wasn't. You know, and I guess that's what jail's supposed to do. It's supposed to deter the behavior. So I finally kind of got it. Like, yo, you do this, you won't get that. And I wasn't willing to go back to prison no more. I had built up an understanding of my value, of my worth. I began to understand what I was worth, man. So I began to say, man, I'm not willing to risk myself in this manner. I'm not willing to risk myself in that manner. And I knew that what I could do because God had gave me a glimpse of it. You know what I mean? So it just changed my perspective. So moving forward to 2002, like I say, I came home and I got started with another cleaning company. It was lucrative, it was productive. I had all my resources in place. I didn't burn any bridges. So, you know, I got that going. I ran into some opportunities with some music in about 04. And when I ran into the opportunities with music in 04, I called my label Bomb City. You know, I called it Bomb City Entertainment. So I was doing music real heavy. And during this time in the city, man, like all my guys, all my people were you know, they was at the pinnacle of their careers. A lot of them. We had, you know, Bruce Scholar was in Drew Hill at that point. They was hot. You had Hassan, Rockman. You know, all these guys are personal friends of mine. He was the heavyweight champ. Then we had our guys, our little brothers, Rough Ends. They was hot, platinum selling artists. And they were so glad to see me, man. And these guys, and I was going here and I was going there. And I was just meeting all these people, Don King, Floyd Mayweather, Zab Judah, you know, when Wu-Tang was hot, 3 6 Mafia. I mean, like, man, I could just go on and on and on, man. I'm in all these places, and you know, like my musical dreams was coming true. But that's what breathed life into the whole Bomb City thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I said, it just didn't come about. You know, so moving forward, like 04, I started to do some performing. I was going out on the road or whatever. I like to be uniform, so I started, you know, branding my stuff, and I started wearing this Bomb City stuff, and I had my guys wearing the Bomb City stuff, and people liked it. And I was in position then to do some things, do some other local designers that you know, that I was connected with. You know, I would shout out the City of Gods, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, like, you know, they helped me along, and it just evolved. The whole Bomb City thing just evolved, and my music took me to Tennessee. So I spent some time in Tennessee, some time in Memphis, some time in Knoxville. I'm down there fucking around with 3 6 Mafia. I had some people in Knoxville I was doing some things with, and it took me away from the fashion. So when I came back to Baltimore, I want to say when I came back to Baltimore, I kind of, and now we're it's about 08, I guess, and I'm kind of not taking the fashion serious, but I'm dibbling dabbling with it. I'm down there, City of Gods, and you know, I'm doing things with them and so on and so forth. But I'm not serious about it as I was, and kind of like backed up off the whole Bomb City thing. But the Bomb City acronym came into play post 9/11. You know, so when 9/11 came about, bomb and city and all that type of stuff, you know, it was a negative connotation attached. I ain't about no whole bunch of negativity, you know what I'm saying? So I said, man, you know, like, but Bomb City, that's my baby, you know? So I was like, and it's a play on the nickname for Baltimore, which is Charm City. So I was like, man, I can't let it go. So I came with an acronym to deflect some of the negativity that would go with Bomb and City during that 9/11 time. So I came with the acronym, Brilliant Open Minds Become Conscious Individuals to You, and that took a life of its own, you know, and people began to like what it stands for. I just started to really get back into my brand, into my fashion, and a little over 2 years ago when Devontae Tank Davis had the fight in Baltimore, you know, shout out to Devontae Tank Champ, you know, bringing boxing back to Baltimore. I'm proud of that kid, you know. So when Shorty brought the fight to Baltimore, it's me, my brother, some cousins, some nephews. It was a bunch of us going down. So I was like, you know what? I want us to be uniformed up. So I made a whole bunch of Bomb City stuff, and everybody wore the Bomb City. And we went down there, and I started seeing people, you know, because that fight brought a lot of people out.
Right.
So, you know, people were asking me like, yo, you doing your clothing thing again? And woo, 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 woo. Of course I lied and said, yeah, but I wasn't even really back into it. But I got orders that day.
Wow.
You know, for stuff. I got orders that day, and moving forward, a few years later, man, like, this is where I'm at with it.
So when you think about your beginning with Bomb City and where it's at now, where do you see it going in the near future?
You know, Tom, what I've learned to do is just stay in the frame. And I'm going to continue to let God create this masterpiece that He's creating. I'm going to let Him draw on the canvas. So, of course, I have goals and I have things, but I cannot honestly tell you where I see Bomb City in the next few years. All I know is that I'm going to continue to make the brand better. I'm going to be persevering and making sure that the quality is up to par and doing what I need to do just to make this thing great. And, you know, I'm just going to continue to let God bless me, man.
So I have a question, and this is like a little sidebar to go away from Bomb City a little bit, but the state that you see that the country is in now when we talk about black on black crime with the younger generation, you and I both coming from that type of atmosphere, growing up, what advice would you give these young men and women now?
Wow. It's so tough because I really feel a responsibility to a certain degree as to where our young people are now. That was like part of the reason why I started like the program that I tried to start with, that I started with Dr. Andre Bunley back then, because I know that people like you and I were the most successful people that some of these young dudes may have seen, their uncles or whatever. So, you know, they seen it, so we played a part in it. And I kind of feel like our generation kind of dropped the ball by design, because it was designed for us to lose and go to prison with these unfair sentencing and things of that nature, these non-violent crimes, getting all this crazy time, and you get more time for crack than you do for powder coke, and so on and so forth. And the only advice that I really can have for this younger generation, man, is just like, don't play into this, man. Like it's like utilize the resources, man. Look at the examples and look at where these things, because they are intentionally keeping our young people asleep. Because this is a great generation, though. They got a lot of information, but they got a lot of vices in place to keep them distracted from the greatness. You know what I mean? So I guess my best advice would be to embrace your greatness, man, whatever your greatness is for our young people, you know, and it's just our job to just try to be better leaders by example. You know, not no whole bunch of lip professors, just by example, be better leaders for these young people, because they have so much information, they have so much to offer, man. I can only advise them to embrace their greatness. We're great people, man. Do the math. Learn who you are. You know what I'm saying? Learn who you are. You know what I mean? Because they have detached us from. Everybody know who we are but us. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how great they are. You know what I'm saying? So the only thing I really can say, man, is find out who you are. That's my advice. Find out who you are. Embrace your greatness. Continue to be great, and take this information, man, and be powerful, man, and help somebody. Help somebody.
Definitely.